morning. You're welcome. You're welcome to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and joining us are my co-hosts, CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets, Lewitinn, and Managing Director of International Content, Emily Parker. Good morning, Emily and Lawrence.
Good morning.
Your good morning.
So I'm taking a look at Bitcoin and the crypto markets. It's another up day, Lawrence. So is this, what can we attribute this little bounce to?
It's a bounce. If you look at the volume numbers, this isn't anything to write home about. If you look at the volume numbers, they're pretty much still fairly low compared to where they were several weeks ago. There's some enthusiasm over some of the stuff that came out of B-Word, but let's be honest, it's nowhere near what it could have been. It's just things just get tossed around here and there at the end of a Friday afternoon and in Asia, and nobody particularly cares. It's just
we spoke
slightly
to
more
SBF
buyers than sellers.
yesterday. He's convinced the B-Word and the Elon effect have, there's something to it. Nevertheless, Twitter and Square's.
Of course he's going to say that.
Okay. Twitter and Square CEO Jack Dorsey also proved himself to be quite a Bitcoin maxi. So it is crypto Twitter that is alight, wondering whether he's trolling ETH right now, because if you put the ETH hashtag on, it comes up with the Ethiopian flag. Is there anything to this, Emily?
Okay, I probably shouldn't say this on the record, but I just don't think he's trolling Ethereum. I just don't. That's my personal opinion. I just think Jack is really into Ethiopia. He's always been, this has been like something that he's shown a lot of interest in. He just doesn't seem like the type to troll a particular digital currency on Twitter. And he's also just kind of a strange communicator. So it's like very easy to get confused by what he's actually saying. But yeah, that's my take on Jack and ETH.
He probably enjoys
Twitter is full of conspiracy theories. So
yeah.
He's just supporting the Ethiopian Olympic athletes. All right,
I kind of think that's what he's doing. Yeah.
The Crypto Markets Update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager.
All right, live look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin Price XVX Index is currently trading at $32,275. Bitcoin is up over 1%. And the CoinDesk Ether Price ETX Index still above 2,000 right now, 2062. ETH is rising about 2.75% over the past 24 hours. And the CoinDesk DFX, CoinDesk's DeFi Index, is trading at 464. The DeFi Index is up, soaring over 5% over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as a leader in crypto news, events, and data. And joining us now to discuss the crypto markets and more is MyEtherWallet COO, Brian Norton. Welcome to the show, Brian. I would just like to get your thoughts as part of the ETH community. Is there anything to this Jack Dorsey Ethiopia ETH trolling situation? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm inclined to agree that he's probably not trolling, but also, do we really care if he is? It was the Ethiopian flag. I'm sorry, they got there first. They're one of the oldest nations on earth. I think that they warrant having an emoji for their nation's abbreviations. So
crypto Twitter just discovered it as a country. So
Yeah. At the same time, Elon Musk said that he owns some Ethereum. We're seeing a boost in the crypto markets. Anything to that? Is Musk good for Ethereum?
He's certainly. Elon Musk having Ethereum in his bags is certainly not bad for Ethereum, but I think that if you look at the price action over the last month or so, we've kind of been moving in this sort of space between the mid 1700s and just above 2000. So this Elon bump is relatively muted, and I would say a rational. Somewhat rational enthusiasm over the fact that the world's richest man has some faith in Ethereum. But I think one of the most positive things coming out of this news is that the crypto markets didn't go crazy over something Elon Musk did, which shows that we're maturing quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that take, actually. I was saying something very similar the other day. So just talking about Ethereum, I don't know if you like to get into price predictions, but I'm kind of curious about your outlook, like short term, long term. Where do you see Ether going, say, by like the end of the year?
I typically don't like to get into price predictions. I do think that it's going to be interesting to see what the London fork brings. There is, particularly amongst ETH bulls, a lot of buzz around what the London fork
Can you
will
explain
mean.
the ETH London hard fork and for our viewers?
Sure. I think that one of the main takeaways from the London fork, and EIP 1559 in particular, is that it is going to improve throughput on the network. One of the things that people have to kind of understand about Ethereum versus Bitcoin is that it is a general purpose blockchain, meaning that it is not strictly for value transfer and it's not strictly for DeFi. And as we saw last summer during DeFi summer, pricing on gas fees priced a lot of people out. What the London fork will do is that it will sort of algorithmically determine what the price of a transaction is. Those fees will be burned, and 50% of all blocks will just have those transactions go through it. People who wish to pay more can tip on top of that and push their transaction through. So it strikes a balance between people who are willing and able to pay more to have their transactions processed quickly, and people who are engaging in other, maybe not necessarily high reward transactions, like purchasing an NFT, for example, who don't want to be priced out because they're just trying to buy a piece of art that they like. So it's really leveling the playing field to open up Ethereum for those general use cases as we move towards ETH 2.0.
Brian, just another question kind of on the ETH outlook. If I understand you don't want to get into specific numbers, but aside from like the hard fork, what are some of the other indicators that investors should look at for ETH specifically, right? I mean, is it just kind of like it's going to ride the Bitcoin wave, it's going to go up and down with Bitcoin, or are there sort of specific things that you think could have an impact on ETH's price either way that people should be watching out for?
I think that earlier in the program you pointed out the DeFi index. I think DeFi is still continuing to be strong, and we're going to see more institutional adoption as we move forward. I also think that in terms of the way the space is sort of slowly moving now, price action in ETH and crypto in general may have slowed, but there's still general interest in the VC markets picking up equity in these new promising DeFi and NFT startups. And so I think that all in all, the value being generated on the Ethereum network and EVM compatible chains is continuing to increase, even if that's not currently at the moment being priced in. So I think that we're going to see substantial interest as we get into next year. And I think that the hard fork could be a catalyst for that, but we'll see.
So, Brian, you were talking about DeFi Summer, which was just a couple of months ago. It seems like it was a whole year ago. But, total value locked right now is just a little bit under 60 billion. At its height, it was just shy of 90 billion. So do you see the interest flagging as being, do you see that number going down as a result of price itself, the price of ETH and the price of Bitcoin falling? Is it just lack of interest because of the higher gas fees that might have scared people away? Do you think that's going to change with London? What do you think is coming up next specifically? Do you think that number will grow anytime soon?
Again, I mean, I couldn't really give you a timeline. I do think that in terms of fears over gas prices, we're going to, the London fork will help sort of tamp down some of that anxiety over high gas prices. And then we'll start being able to see that reflected across DeFi more broadly. I also do think that we do go in waves. The yield farming craze kind of came, and it didn't exactly go, but we did reach sort of a tipping point where I think investors were starting to look at the market and saying, okay, let's take a break and let's see what's next.
Brian, question about regulators. We're starting to see regulators get more active in things like Binance globally, and then in the US, a lot of regulators going after BlockFi. Do you think that they're going to start to turn more attention in general towards DeFi, and that they'll try to stop certain things if they can, even though it's decentralized? Is there anything they can do?
I think it really depends project to project whether there's something that regulators can do. There's different these different projects and these different protocols have different levels of accessibility. But I do think that we are going to see at the very least some regulatory clarity come down over DeFi projects over the course of the next year. I think that's sort of inevitable, but I think what's happening right now makes a lot more sense. That regulators are taking a look at these more centralized entities to see if they're because they do fall within more of a traditional financial model that it's easier to pick apart. They're not a protocol living on the on Web3, so it's a little easier to compare apples to apples there.
All right, cool. Brian, thank you very much for the update. Also, viewers should note that Mew is releasing version 6, an upgrade. And among the new features is an NFT manager, support access to different hardware wallets, as well as allowing users to swap between Binance Smart Chain and Polygon. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, that was MyEtherWallet COO Brian Norton. Coming up, checking in on Asia and the Metaverse.
CoinDesk Indexes, the market standard for crypto assets since 2014. Our trusted data powers billions in publicly traded funds. CoinDesk Indexes are the standard used by institutions, and they're the key for investors looking to understand and access crypto markets.
As the company that launched the world's first ever Bitcoin ETF, we at Purpose chose the CoinDesk Bitcoin Price Index, the XBX, to price our assets.
CoinDesk Indexes enabled the early adopters to build crypto investment vehicles, and they're already trusted by a new generation of global investors.
Time now for the daily forecast, an update on what's happening in the Asia crypto markets. Here's Angie Lau of Forecast News.
Welcome to the Daily Forecast, July 23rd, 2021. I'm Angie Lau, Editor-in-Chief of Forecast News, covering all things blockchain. Coming up, India updates its CBDC plans. Korea threatens to block access to foreign crypto exchanges. And Hong Kong's Animoca Brands launches an NFT accelerator promoting financial inclusivity. Let's get you up to speed from Asia to the world. India has issued an update on its CBDC plans, and it looks like they're set to continue at a snail's pace. The Reserve Bank of India says a phased implementation of the digital rupee is on the cards, with a pilot in the near future now a possibility. But little progress has actually been made. The central bank is still discussing whether the CBDC should be retail or wholesale, distributed ledger or centralized ledger, token or account-based, and issued by either the central bank or commercial banks. Other hurdles still to be overcome include the need for updated laws to accommodate all this new form of legal tender. However, the RBI's deputy governor was keen to stress the benefits of introducing a digital currency, including reducing the country's dependency on cash, thus improving security, as well as offering a smoother international settlement system. Still, it's baby steps. This as proposals for new regulations of private cryptocurrencies appear to have stalled in legislature for the moment. Meanwhile, Korea looks set to block access to foreign crypto exchanges. That's the threat in yet another warning issued by Korea's Financial Services Commission. It says any exchanges found to be offering services to Korean users after September 25th without reporting to the Financial Intelligence Unit will have their websites blocked. The FIU has now sent a letter to 27 foreign crypto exchanges, which are believed to have Korean users, reminding them they must comply with the country's strict crypto exchange regulations, which come into effect on September 24th. The FSC says that as of July 21st, no foreign business operator had obtained the necessary information security management system certification that actually forms part of those new regulations. The FSC went on to warn users that blocks on foreign exchanges could make it very difficult to withdraw their assets. And onto the markets today. Bitcoin up 1% at around $32,500 US. That's as of 4 p.m. local Hong Kong time on a relatively muted trading day at the end of the Asian trading week. And in the top 10 for cryptocurrencies, Polkadot up 6.5% and Ethereum up 3.5%, as we see signs on GitHub that it's headed closer to ETH2's proof of stake transition. And finally, calling all creators, an NFT accelerator is launching in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong-based unicorn Animoca brand is hoping to foster financial literacy and inclusivity with their Launchpad Luna program, set up in partnership with venture accelerator Brink. Animoca's chairman told Forecast News that the program hopes to foster an understanding around the ownership of assets such as NFTs at a much younger age.
We have to sort of evangelize, right? And outside of I think we've been fairly prolific in terms of talking about the topic as much as we could, but it's not enough. We have to also get people in the space. So the NFT accelerator is a way of doing this. The kind of people who build startups tend to be rule breakers and game changer type of people. So we want to influence that cohort.
Sue says you don't need to be a blockchain expert to apply, as Launchpad Luna will offer all the support needed, as well as funding of up to $500,000 US to anyone who has a great concept to develop. The program is set to kick off its first project in late Q3 or early Q4. Time to get those financial thinking caps on. And that's the daily forecast from our vantage point right here in Asia. For more, visit forecast.news. I'm Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Until the next time.
Live check-in with Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XBX index is at 32,406. Bitcoin is up almost 1% over the past 24 hours. And the CoinDesk Ether price ETX index over 2,060. Right now, up over 3% over the past 24 hours. And the DFX, CoinDesk's DeFi index, is trading at 465. DeFi also rising over 6% over the day. Meanwhile, Apollo 11 is landing in Decentraland this weekend in celebration of the 52nd anniversary of the historic moon landing. A collection of Apollo-branded wearables created by virtual studio Banquet includes space suits and gold puffer jackets that will be available for purchase in the Metaverse. Donations will be made available to the Aldrin Family Foundation. Joining us now to discuss is Banquet Co-founder Matt Bond. Welcome to the show, Matt. So perhaps you can give us an explainer of what exactly is going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. Would be happy to. So as you guys, I'm sure, are aware, the NFT communities has been inspired for a long time by Apollo and just the massive brand overall. A lot of the creators and just the initial kind of founders of the Metaverse really identify with just the pioneering spirit and just kind of the boldness and imaginative kind of just ingenuity of Buzz and Neil and Michael. So we wanted to take this opportunity this week to basically bring that spirit of Apollo 11 into the metaverse by allowing the players inside of Decentraland to purchase Apollo 11 themed clothing and fashion items, as well as to don the actual spacesuits that the astronauts wore in flight. A lot of times in the metaverse, people want to purchase these items because it's this experience is about adventure and it's about identity, and we just want to bring that the opportunity to kind of identify with something really aspirational to this incredible community.
That's fun.
So
I have
Matt,
my avatar in Decentraland, but I'm wondering, so you're doing a virtual moon landing here. Does this play into the whole space tourism explosion we've been seeing over the past few weeks with Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos?
Well, yeah, I think it's unsurprising to me, how that to see this sort of space culture, become so hot right now. I mean, we're in an era where we've just been locked away in our homes through this pandemic throughout the last year, and and I think just seeing the expansion of the metaverse, everybody in this community is at a point where we're excited about the potential to just expand the world that we live in, and so. At the end of the day, we just want to remind people that it's amazing what Branson's doing. It's amazing what Bezos is doing. It's amazing what Elon Musk is doing with SpaceX. But at the end of the day, the people who put them in a position, and who really kind of established our culture of exploration and of pioneering adventure were the people of Apollo 11 52 years ago.
So Matt, you mentioned the Aldrin Family Foundation. Buzz Aldrin himself is not affiliated with them, and in fact, he tried to sue his own kids a couple of years ago, saying that they were abusing his finances. Has Buzz Aldrin tried to stop the sale in any way? Has he complained or issued any sort of objections?
Not at all, actually. We spoke to Buzz a couple of times throughout the last couple of weeks, and we've been in touch with his son, obviously, Andy, through the foundation, and I think everyone in the Aldrin family, as well as all the supporters of the Apollo 11, just the legacy of Apollo 11, are excited to just push the memory of this historic achievement into the metaverse, and just continue to honor what happened.
Is he endorsing it in any way?
Well, I think we're you guys, we're all going to have to stay tuned. The campaign is beginning on Saturday, but we're going to be doing a number of drops throughout the next month. So I guess you're going to have to stay tuned for the answer to that.
All right. So Buzz Aldrin on his website says Buzz Aldrin is not affiliated with Share Space or Aldrin Family Foundation nor any Apollo Gala for which they may be promoting and or selling tickets. But Matt Bond, very, very cool. Stay tuned in the metaverse, and looking forward to seeing that on Decentraland.
Absolutely, and if you'd like to actually get a little more context on our designer who created the collection, his name is Nick Graham, and he actually is a longtime designer for Buzz Aldrin and his fashion in the real world. So definitely check out Nick Graham's past work, and thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Matt. That was Banquet CEO Matt Bond. Coming up, hottest trends in the crypto space and the latest developments from BlockFi, currently in regulatory crosshairs. Welcome back. Time to check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk's The State of Crypto newsletter. Hello there, Nick. So some news with BlockFi. What are the latest developments with them as they meet with regulators? And there is another conversation on whether decentralized finance could be next on the regulatory agenda.
Yeah, so yesterday the Texas State Securities Board filed to, issue a cease and desist. It hasn't taken effect yet. They still have to go through a court hearing in October, but Texas is now the third state to come out and say that in its view, BlockFi's interest account program or product is a security in under its purview. So we're seeing this conversation accelerate. And what's interesting to me is that we've spoken to some of these regulators who are filing these cease and desist or other orders, and they say that while they may be discussing with other regulators, they're not actively coordinating. So the fact that we've seen 3 separate enforcement actions so far seems to be because just timing wise, that's how it worked out. It's not that this is a coordinated federal action.
Nick, why BlockFi specifically? Like, why do they have a target? I mean, they're not the only ones with this exact business model.
Yeah, I'm sure part of it might just be, how exactly the regulators are interacting with these companies. So BlockFi says that it has been in touch with these regulators, and in its view, the BlockFi interest account is not a security. Obviously the regulators disagree, and I don't know if these regulators are also asking questions about other companies that offer interest products. But the key issues at the court here seem to be just how exactly BlockFi handles customer funds. Right, customers deposit their funds. BlockFi apparently pulls them together and commingles them with other customer funds or with corporate funds, or sorry, not corporate funds, but other funds that it has under its control before it invests or loans them out. So the securities regulators seem to be saying that, it's that aspect in particular that might violate, federal securities laws because, I guess in their view, it kind of fulfills or might fulfill some of these aspects of the Howey test.
Is the issue that the beautiful Garden State with the homeland of us and also BlockFi, the fact that they're not very, that they were the first to come to complain about BlockFi, that until that's solved, the other states will keep going after it. Is that kind of like what is New Jersey once again the key?
As a fellow Jersey resident, I can only say that I'm sure we'll see, maybe 1 or 2 more states. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couple more, but I'm also sure that, there are probably a couple states out there that are now looking at New Jersey and Alabama and Texas and saying, okay, well, they started. Let's wait and see what kind of a result they get before we, figure out if we have to take any action. Because if there's an issue with the Jersey case, then other regulators might learn from it. Or if the Jersey regulators have a slam dunk case, again, other regulators can learn from it.
Yeah. Once again, Jersey is a key. Thank you very much, Nick, for watching those developments. All right, that was CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Policy and Regulation, Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com.
The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
All right, Thesis, the crypto incubator behind the Fold Crypto Rewards app and the decentralized Keep protocol, announcing a $21 million Series A funding round led by Polychain Capital and others. Joining us now is Thesis CEO and founder Matt Luongo. Welcome to the show, Matt. So congratulations on this raise. You plan to build out existing projects and spin up new ones. Tell us a bit about that. Oh, I think you're on mute, Matt.
Sorry, guys. So we build a bunch of things in the space. You mentioned Fold and Keep. We launched Saddle earlier this year. And then coming up, we have plans to launch a wallet product and to continue to work in the DeFi and sort of cross-chain space. I think probably what's interesting is our model is a little bit different. We aren't a VC. We incubate everything internally. We don't take pitches. We're not like a Y Combinator. We just find stuff that fascinates us in the space and we launch products.
So in terms of finding stuff that fascinates you in the space, do you have any just kind of general thoughts for investors? Like, what are some of the common mistakes you think that investors make in the crypto world when they are sizing up projects?
Yeah. So this might not be as useful for public investors, though things get public so quickly with tokens flying around. One of the things that I'm seeing is that a lot of the teams in crypto are incredibly junior, and sometimes that works out very well. So you have the story of like Hayden at Uniswap, and that's been an incredible success. But a lot of the time, you have people who aren't operators and really can't deliver. And so I think that that's something that people should look out for. Since 2014, we've always had people overpromising and underdelivering in our space. It's kind of a hallmark, but it's especially bad right now at this either the middle of a bull market or tail end, I guess, depending on how you look at it, where people can very easily say that they're going to do something and then just sort of not.
That's a really good point. I mean, it's definitely something challenging in the crypto industry because it is a very young industry and there's a lot of people that sort of come out of nowhere. So I'm just curious, like, how do you gauge someone's ability to deliver? I mean, it's like, how can you even tell that? Because obviously one way is like a track record, but you are seeing a lot of people in crypto who are like very young. This is their first thing. And as you said, some of them are very successful. So what are some of the markers you use to figure out if someone can deliver or not?
Yeah, that's the $1 billion question. So what I look for, I actually don't necessarily look for a history of delivering, right? Because if you have a history of delivering, I'm probably already too late. You're going to succeed. It's very rare that people who have been successful once join crypto in the first place, right? So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for someone who has tried, and maybe they haven't quite succeeded. But they've made a good effort and you can see what they've learned from it. A core for us for hiring and for funding projects also is humility, which sounds very strange. But when you see that one of the biggest issues our industry faces is, people get rich unexpectedly and bounce. It turns out that character and just like deep interest is a big indicator.
So Matt, $21 million, a lot of money. What do you need it for exactly? How is it being allocated?
Sure. So we've got a few irons in the fire, I guess I should say. So right now we're supporting 4 active projects: Fold, Keep, and Saddle, and then a quietly launching Web3 wallet a little bit later this year. So in addition to building out those and continuing to support, the plan is to start with spinning out around 2 projects per year, which is kind of like a nice clip. It's not like Silicon Valley accelerator style. It's each project we think we can really craft, and then to increase that. And part of it, of course, is I want to make sure that we're in a very good spot regardless of market conditions. So I think a lot of us like to keep crypto on the balance sheet until we don't. Sometimes it works out very well, sometimes it doesn't. And making sure that you can continue to take shots regardless of the market, gives you a great position.
Yeah, you mentioned a unnamed Web3 wallet. It's open source and it seems to be a competitor of MetaMask. So looking forward to seeing that. You're in a unique position as a crypto incubator. So I'm wondering, you get pitched a lot of projects, a lot of ideas. What are the key trends you see as the brightest, hottest right now?
Great question. I think there's a lot of Me Too DeFi right now, and I think that we're all waiting for the next trend, right? DeFi is clearly here to stay. There's something with NFTs. I'm going to be honest. I'm like the worst person to. I'm just not cool enough to understand NFTs. I think just like 2 kids, and NFTs are not my thing anymore. But I think we're looking for what's after DeFi, and the narrative has expanded so much that it's hard to even say that anything after DeFi won't just be called DeFi because of how.
What do you mean by Me Too DeFi? I didn't quite get that reference.
Yeah, so it's really easy to say, okay, now I'm going to launch an options platform with this parameter changed, or now I'm going to launch the next swap on the next. Maybe it's Avalanche or Solana. So there's this opportunity where the gamble that you're making is which of these chains is going to win. And you can say, okay, well, for example, if Uniswap is not going to pursue other chains, I will. And if that chain wins, then, you've got a success. So there's plenty of money to be made there if that chain wins. If it doesn't, it's going to be a flash in the pan.
Interesting. Matt, thanks for joining us and looking forward to seeing new projects coming out of your firm.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right. That was Matt Luongo, CEO and founder of Thesis. Time now to check in with crypto Twitter with our tweet of the day. This one coming from Twitter user PermaRich tweeting, #ETH athletes look good this year with the Ethiopian flag, of course. Ethereum athletes, Ethiopian athletes, ETH supporting ETH. It's all good. Right. That's it for First Mover. Thank you, Emily Parker and Lawrence Lewitinn. I'm your host, Christine Lee. I'll be back live at 3 p.m. with All About Bitcoin. Coming up at noon is The Hash. You're watching CoinDesk TV.